Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, begin Daf Kuf Yud Beis Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Continue on with Mazikin and with the Maisa of Agras Bas Malchas, that she was in the head of the Malachi Chabola. There was another Maisa, Vesucharazim Paga Bebabai. She encountered a Bai. Amrale, she said to him, if not that they made a Hachroza proclamation in the Shemayim, Yizara ben Nachmani Vesir, also be careful with Nachmani, Abaya. And his learning, I was like, I would have harmed you. Amar La, he said to her, if I'm considered chashav prominent in Shemayim, if that's the case, goes Rani Alaycha Shaloi Tavar B'Yishuv Lo Elam. I make a gzera that you should not pass by in the Yishuv amongst people. But we see that they do pass by. Omre, we say, Hane, these are just ones who are not part of the main group. They are the Mazikin who went through the pathways of the vineyard, not the common roads, and when their horses ran away into the area where people were, and the Mazikin came and bring their horses back. Meaning those are just ones who are not part of the main group. They are the Shirayim, the remnants of it, but the main body of the Mazikin, there was a Gzeira, and Abai was a geyser that they should not come into the populated areas. So therefore, nowadays, we are not frequented by Mazikin. The Chashash of the Mazikin is not like it was in the earlier times. Va'amar le-Ravasi, Rav said to Ravasi, don't live in a city where the horses don't neigh, and the dogs don't bark. Because the dogs barking, these are needed to keep away or chase after ganovim, thieves. If the dogs bark, then they'll alert people to the fact that they're ganovim, that'll scare away ganovim. The horses neighing mean it's just an expression to mean that they're not horses that are present, and horses are here, they neigh. If they're horses, we need horses to be able to run after the thieves. So a city that doesn't have that protection, you shouldn't live into that and live in that city. Don't live in a city where the head of the city, the mayor, is a doctor, because he'll be so busy with his profession and he won't take care of the needs of the city. Don't marry two wives, because two wives, they might come and collaborate and plot against him. But if you did marry two, then nasiv tlas, then marry a third one. Because if there be a third one, then one of them presumably will alert him and protect him, and it'll be harder for the three of them to collaborate. If a person in Parnasa, if the only Parnasa he has is doing something which is not so bekovedik, he has to turn over the nevelas, the animal carcasses. It's a choice between that or doing engaging in a Parnasa that is more mechubadik, but he has to turn over his words and not be honest with his words. Better choose the Parnasa that is not so mechubadik, that he has to turn over a nevela, rather than engage in something where he has to turn over his words to be dishonest. If you need Parnasa, rather skin and nevela in the public, in the market, and get paid. And rather than come on to people, to come on to the brias, if that's what it takes, so that's what you need for Parnasa, and that's the only alternative, even though it's not so bekovedik, rather to do that. And don't come on to the people. Don't say I'm a kahana, I'm a chashav a person, I'm a great person, it's beneath my dignity. And this is not proper for me, it's not fitting for me. No. Be Isaac and Parnasa and support yourself, even if it's not some mechubadik. If you go to the roof, your meal should be with you. Meaning, if you're traveling, and even if it's a short distance, even from going up to the roof, you should travel, you should have food with you. Even if the food is so cheap that they sell 100 gourds for a zuz, it should be under the corners of your garment, of your clothing. Meaning, even if food is readily available, even if it's cheap, you should always travel with food with you. Amalei Rav Elechia Brei, he said, don't drink the salmon, the drugs or medicines. I mean, these types of things, even if they do have some benefit, but the person might become addicted to them, etc. So try to keep away from different types of medicines if possible. Like the Shava Nigra, and don't jump over a brook. Meaning, don't take a shortcut and jump over a stream or something of that nature. Then, because jumping and these types of things, it's detrimental for the eyesight. So don't jump over a brook. Don't pull out a tooth. If you don't have to, if you have a toothache, don't pull it out because eventually it'll heal. So don't rush to pull out a tooth. And don't provoke a snake. And don't provoke somebody from an Armenian. Don't start up with them because they take Nakama and it's dangerous. There are three that you should not start up with. The young Nachri, a snake, and a young Talmud. Their malchus is behind their ears, meaning right now they're young, but they will get older and they will keep this they'll harbor this resentment and the sin, and when they get older and they'll become powerful and become choshev, they'll take nakama and they'll take revenge against you. So be careful even with these young ones. Amalei Rav Leiva Bray said, he says, I've been matriach, I try to teach a Torah, but I haven't been successful. So therefore, come, let me teach you the derech eretz, the ways of the world. When the sand is still on your feet, sell your merchandise. You've been traveling, you bought merchandise. As soon as you come back, sell it right away. Don't keep your merchandise with you. Anything that you sell, and if the price goes up, you can have charot, you can have regrets. Except for wine, that you shouldn't have regrets, because maybe if you keep the wine, the price will go up, but wine turns sour, it's perishable. So for perishable goods, sell it right away. Open your purse, and meaning when you're selling something, first take the money, open your purse, and then open up the sack and give the merchandise and sell merchandise. First get payment, and then transfer the merchandise. It's better to have a kav from a small amount from the ground rather than to have a core from a roof. It's better to have something your parnosa is close at home rather than have a much bigger parnosa and it involves traveling. Better to have a much smaller parnosa, even if it's only a kav, rather than a core which is 180 times that amount, but you have to go distances. When there's dates in your basket, run to make beer out of it. Don't delay. Then right away, even if you have a small amount of it, then you should run away and process it into beer. Because if you don't, it might get eaten up before you will be able to turn into beer. You want to make it into beer and sell it, etc. So right away, then you should process it into beer. Vadkama, how many days? Amarava atlosa saw, even as little amount of 3 saw, you should convert it into beer right away. 3 saw is 432 eggs. Amara Papa, he said, if not that I have made beer, I'm a brewer, I wouldn't have been rich. I became wealthy through making beer. The one who said it was Amar Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda said, if I not brewed the beer, I wouldn't have become wealthy. My sudna, so sudna is the lotion of a brewer, makes beer. What's sudna? Amar Rav Chisda, soidno, gemilas chasarim. It's a soidno, a wonderful secret, a soidno, and it's gemilas chasarim. It's the side of secret of how to become wealthy. by making beer is one can become wealthy, and Gemilas Chasod, one can do a lot of chesed with it because he can make a huge profit, and it doesn't require a large capital investment, and he has funds available, and he can do chasodim with his funds. Omar Papa Kol Aga Gavia Boy. Every bill, that every receivable has to be collected, meaning the point is that if a person should try to, when he gets paid, to get paid with cash, because if he has a receivable, it's a question, you have to collect it, and may or not be collected. Every sale on credit, maybe he'll collect, maybe not. And even if he is able to collect it, maybe the coins, maybe the currency is inferior, and maybe therefore it won't be worth the value or full value. Therefore, you should always try to receive payment up front and receive cash payment up front. He said 3 things in the name of Anshe Yerushalayim. When you go to war, don't be the first to go out, go to the last. Because if they have to run away, he can come back into the city, he'll be first to come back into the city. And rather, do not make your Shabbos special. Do not add on an extra meal if it means that you don't have money and you have to take from other people. Rather, treat the Shabbos meals like the other meal and not have to come on to the Brios. Taisus points out that the Taisus and Beah, based on the Gemara and Shabbos, that this, what we're talking about over here is that if a person has to collect charity, if he can collect a loan, then he should borrow. He should borrow in order to make Shabbos special, because as the Gemara Shabbos says, is that the Kodesh Baruch Hu says that what you spend for Shabbos, I will repay your loans. The person's parnassus, ksuvas, Rosh Hashanah, with the exception of what he pays for, what he spends on Shabbos. Kodesh Baruch says, what you borrow, I will repay. So here we must be talking about that he doesn't have the means to borrow. He doesn't have someone to borrow from. It must be tzedakah. Don't take tzedakah. Rather, make your Shabboscha, asay Shabboscha chov, al titzarach labriyos. But however, as we learned previously, but something L'Kovod Shabbos, he still should do something special L'Kovod Shabbos. And you should do business with one who has a good mazel. He's having good mazel, and the Shah Misachek is trying to engage with him, because then you'll be mazeldig as well. Amar Yishu ben Levi. So Shleish Dvarim, Amar Yishu ben Levi, Mishman Yerushalayim. There are 3 things, Shleish Dvarim, that Amar Yishu Mishman Yerushalayim is said in their name. Al Tarbe Beganas Mishum Masechet Pesachim. Don't do private things in the garden because of the Masechet Pesachim with Dovid and Bathsheba, that she did things privately in the garden, and he observed it, and she was bathing, he observed it, and it led to the whole Maisa with Bathsheba, that he took her for a wife, and the problems that ensued with that. Be careful not to do your private items, things that have to be done private, not in the garden where people might be observing. Next thing is Bitcha Bagra Shacharav L'Chavatela. If your daughter reached the age of marriage, she's a Begeres, and if there's no Chalson available, even free your slave to marry her off. When she comes of age, you should marry her off right away. And be very careful with your wife from the first son-in-law. My time, what's the reason? Because that if there's a closeness, it might lead to znus. Rav Kahana, she might spend your money on him. She might spoil him, be mefanikim, and spend your money on him. So be careful to keep a distance. Havaha isno. The Gemara says that both reasons are valid, and we have to be concerned for both reasons. Based on that, the Gemara Baba said that a son-in-law should not live in his father-in-law's house, close proximity to his mother-in-law. Both reasons are each person should be chayshish for them. There are 3 people who will inherit Olam Haba. Elohein Hadar Eretz Yisrael. Someone who lives in Eretz Yisrael. He raises children to learn Torah. and he makes Havdalah. If he makes Havdalah Motzei Shabbos with wine, Mahi, what is the meaning of this? Meaning there's a chiyuv to make Havdalah Motzei Shabbos on Yain. Meaning the special consideration we're referring to is the Mishar Mikidush Lavdalta, that he only has a minimal amount of wine. He makes Kiddush on the wine. Now he doesn't drink all of the wine. He drinks the shir, he drinks what he needs. He makes Kiddush on the shir, but the leftovers, instead of indulging himself, he saves it for Havdalah. There are three people who the Kodesh Baruch Hu proclaims, he makes a hachroza on their tzidkas every day. That is Al Rabba Kadar Bakrach, a bachelor lives in a big city, and he's not chayte, he doesn't sin with his nose, that even though it's a big city and there are many women around, that he is careful and he is not chayte. So that's one valani machzer aveda. A poor person, he finds an aveda, there's a temptation, he's poor, he finds something in aveda, he doesn't keep it, he returns it to the rightful owner. A wealthy person, he takes his meiser, and if he's wealthy, the meiser is a large amount, it's a huge amount, but he does a b'tzina, he does it in private, and he's not looking for kavod, he's not looking for honor, he does it in private where people don't see.